Welcome back. Thank you for coming back. This is exciting. So, can everyone hear me okay? Yes, that's so important because if you're straining, you're wasting energy. And we don't want anybody wasting energy in this class. Okay, so last time we had a discussion. This time the topic is about turmoil, which I know is a new topic. I'm sure none of you really get around turmoil very much. Am I a little bit too loud, do you think? Is it echoey? You like it? Okay, if you're happy, so am I. Turmoil. It's the human condition, it seems. I mean, you do meet people once in a while. Have you noticed that? Every once in a while you'll meet somebody that just seems to, even when they talk about their childhood, it's just like that. But it's rare, don't you think? It's not the norm, is what I'm trying to say. It isn't the norm for someone to come into the earth and go, oh, this is fun and easy and joyful and I can do this. I have it figured out already. It just doesn't seem to me anyway. I didn't see a whole bunch of people say, yes, I know 50 people that are happy and have been since they were children. I want to review what Andre's premise is for the book, is that personality self-decisions are based in habit in the past. It is not something that you're actually engaged in. It's an automatic thing, automatic reaction, because you have personally designed yourself so well. You are able to make because you've done it before, or you have a history of it, or you have a memory of a negative experience or a positive one. We have a lot of personality self activities that we do that are very positive, and so that's why I feel this work is a little different than telling you only do what your higher self or God is telling you to do. No, we need to marry them. We're here for a reason. Okay, we're not just creations of a rock. We were created. The soul self gives directions if we connect and get still, and that's more of an in-the-moment decision-making process. So if you are, again, you're riding a horse, and you're riding that horse, you're going to be using muscle memory, and you're going to remember how to ride the horse from your personality self in the past. It isn't going to be. Now, when you see that snake, and you know your horse hasn't seen it yet, you can connect and make decisions as to what to do. So it isn't that you're not allowed to make a decision through your soul self at any given moment. It's just that we traditionally save it for, I need some help here. I need some guidance here. My personality self automatic decisions are not able to fill my needs at this moment. So what my goal is to talk about how do we make friends with a situation that is not bringing us joy. How do we, it's not that we want to run away from everything. We don't want to do that. There are situations that you do need to get out of. Somebody brought that up last time. And I'm a firm believer is that if you are in a toxic situation, you do need to have connection enough with your higher self to take care of yourself so that you can have a healthy and happy life. So we're not saying expose yourself, just connect and ignore. No, that's not what we're saying here. So when you are in the throes of a toxic situation, and I don't mean like a long term, this is more of a sudden thing. Something happened and your brain stops. I don't know about you, but when you get really stressed, you guys just, I can't even think, to make a decision about something. Those are some of the situations where you might say, oh yeah, I remember. And it's not like you need to go to connect. because you might be physically doing something. So all you simply need to do is take a deep breath and relax. The action of relaxing will allow you to connect. Now this is whether or not you're a meditator. I don't know that I stressed that enough last time. People do not need to sit around and meditate all the time to be connected to their higher self. But what they do need is to practice making that connection. And it can be very easily done by taking a walk, by going out to the flowers or watching birds, being in the moment with something, going out on a starry night and looking at the stars, going to situations where you feel connected. That's the magic. That's what you have to draw that line to. Let's just say that your connection is here. It's not, but let's just say it is. You've got to make a path that's well worn so that you can get there quick when your needs are not being met in the earth plane and you need guidance and or you need calmness and or you need whatever. But if you really haven't worn that path in the sand, it's really more of a struggle to get there. It's not an easy activity. If you stay in the personality self when you are in turmoil, what'll happen is you'll start getting what ifs. Oh my gosh, what if? Or what if that? Or what if she says? Or what if he says? Or he did say. So in other words, you're either in the future, in the what ifs, or you're in the past. Why did that? So you're not connected with your higher self. That tells you that you're still 100% in the personality self awareness. Now my goal as a practitioner of this is to engage my personality self awareness with my soul self awareness. I don't want to be in la la land. I want to blend those two. I want to look normal. You know, you see people that are really connected, you know, and I respect that. But because of my occupation, because of my lifestyle, I choose to have a life that is blended, a blended life. So I don't know if it was in the handouts. Did I put the example of whenever I'm in a super stressful situation, I tend to go back and forth between personality self and soul self. I had an experience a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago now, where I was not going to make a flight. My plan landed late, and so I ran with everything I had. Did I cut off? Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's cutting on and off. Yeah, there it goes. Now it's talking again. So I was worried about making my flight, and so I ran as hard as I could because my flight landed late, so my connecting flight was going to leave on time, and then it finally said in the magic world of technology that it was also delayed, and I went, oh, thank you. So I'm running with my little pull behind, Rolly. And so I get to the gate and it says gate closed. But there physically was a man there. And there were physically other women and men running just like me. So many flights have been delayed. So I did kind of lose it for a second. And I remember this. I said to myself, am I going to be overwhelmed with this or not? I actually said to myself, this is personality self. This is not my soul self that is the problem. This is my personality self reacting to the fact that I may not have a flight out of this Dallas. Dallas is my nemesis. So what I did was I, in the moment, connected. I had the wherewithal to go to the next gate because the person said, I've already booked you on this other gate. I ran to that gate and I talked to the woman nicely. Everybody else was, And I said, I really want to get on this flight. Is there any way we can get that? Well, she looked at me and I was smiling because I was in the moment. I wasn't scared to death. She had me as standby. But she gave me a ticket just in case I didn't get on for the next day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And this was 10 o'clock at night. I did not want to sleep. I'm looking around looking for a comfortable place. I didn't see one, obviously. So what happened was, they handed me this ticket and I kind of lost it again, right? I'm an opportunist. I can lose it. I simply looked at the ticket. I'm talking to him on the phone. Then I had to decide, am I going to panic or am I going to stay in the moment? I took a deep breath and I did it. I stayed in the moment. I was so proud of myself. I mean, you guys, I was in a pickle. For one thing, I usually travel with him. I was all by myself, and that was unusual. So as soon as I got back in the moment, I calmed down. And about that time, I looked at the revolving overhead, and it had me down as a standby. I was number 3. There were like 25 or 30 standbys. I was number 3. So I stayed calm and I just intended, I saw myself getting on that plane and being happy about it. And sure enough, when they call for people to standbys, they start listing names. They called me. I was the 3rd person and the last person they called. I ran up to that lady in her space and I took that magical piece of paper as if it was gold, and I got on the plane. I was able to maintain intermittently my connection. Does that make sense? I truly could have just lost it because she did tell me, you can go over to gate number 75 and talk to those people if you need a hotel or something. But then I had to decide, am I going to stay here and just wait in case I get called as a standby? And the answer was very loud, yes. So I did. I calmed down, I'm in the moment, and I got on the plane. And I got home. It works. It just works. I mean, it's a fight, kind of, but it's a choice. See, remember I was saying that you're the most powerful at this very moment, not that moment, not this moment, not that moment. You are in the moment. If you can, take a breath and connect, no matter what's going on around you, no matter how chaotic you feel, it will shift your interpretation of what's going on. It doesn't necessarily mean, I'm not saying that because I did that, I was number 3 on that list. I don't know that. I just don't know. I doubt it very sincerely. But the fact is, if I'd been number 25, how would I have reacted? When they only called 3 people. See, that would have, again, an opportunity for a choice to be made, to stay connected, to go talk to the lady at the other gate of 75 and say, can you get me a hotel, blah, blah, blah. Then I needed them to get me there and get me back, right? So it was going to be complicated. So even if things are in a state of turmoil, you can make a choice to stay connected. It does take a little bit of oomph, but it does work. One of the first things I do when I get in a state of turmoil, airport turmoil, let's just use that. I first had to decide I didn't want to feel the way I was feeling. That was paramount. Because you can choose to say, yeah, I am upset and I deserve to be upset and this is the way I'm going to stay. That is your right and that is one option. But you need to make that decision. I want to stay the way I'm feeling or I want to change it. So that's step number 1. Then I had to decide, am I going to put the effort it takes to shift my feelings? That's a big part of it because it does take work. It takes energy. It takes thought. It takes attention. It takes effort. to shift from a chaotic state into one of peace or joy. If I'm having trouble doing that, let's say I'm not in the airport, well, yes, I could. I could say I would turn on some music that I choose. I'm stressing out too much. I'm not able to just say, help me. I'm just chaotic. It's too much turmoil. I can go, if I can, I go outside and touch a tree or be with nature or listen to music that brings you joy. Or if you have the wherewithal to take with you some sort of something to read that is uplifting, that would be another thing you could do. So in other words, understand that it may not just be easy for you to do. You may have to have pre-thought. Think about it. You and I go in a state of chaos, unchaos, chaos, no chaos, joy, chaos. We know it's going to happen. So think about it in advance. Next time I'm in a situation like this, what are the things that I can choose to do? No one's telling me to do it. I'm choosing to do it. And I will put the energy into it by doing X. Your own choices. So one of the big components of this is that you own the way you're feeling about what's going on. You must own it. It is you. That plane landing late didn't do it to me. The weather didn't do it to me. The person that had already closed the gate did not do anything to me. I'm choosing. I own the way I'm reacting or acting or feeling about every situation. It's a huge thing. Well, she made me do that. She made me mad. She, he, whatever. That's one of the situations that you do not want to habitually find yourself in. Oops, there I went again. Isn't this joyful? It's coming and going. There we go. I'm back. So by owning your own personal space, your own personal reactive behavior, your own personal thoughts, you are giving yourself a lot more power than you would if you always assume the external is what's making you do and making you feel and making you think certain ways. You have to own it. I own my own moods. I'm in a bad mood. What am I going to do about it? First of all, I have to acknowledge that I'm in a bad mood. You know, many times you're just, and then you realize, oh, ooh, after you've said 40 words that weren't so nice. So you have to own the fact that I have to be in control of what is going on with my physical form as well as, you know, the energy that I'm spewing out. I need to own that. I own my relationships, every single one of them. Even your pets, even the fish, the plants, the people. You own those. You are the boss. You are the boss of your feelings, of your relationships. You create that relationship energy. And you can modify it. Now again, if you're in a toxic relationship and you've already been playing that game for a long time and you've been throwing the good energy at it and it isn't going somewhere, perhaps it is time to do something different. But in the average relationship that you and I can have, we can influence it quite significantly by setting the tone, if that makes any sense to you. I also own my own desires. My desires are thought-based, which is personality-based, which is flexible. So if you sit down with a particular desire and you think about it and you connect with your higher self, and again, to do that, you would just simply get still. And it isn't a prayer, because you're talking, in my opinion, prayer is you talking to something. Meditation is you listening or feeling or whatever, getting the information. So you are trying to make a decision about a desire that you have. Should you follow through on it? And by connecting, you can actually have action ideas come to your head. So in other words, you might have a sudden thought. Oh, I hadn't even thought of it that way before. So desires are not necessarily a negative thing. The personality self is filled with desires. That's, the judgment thing, the desire thing. That's part of our existence. It is. If somebody tells you you shouldn't have any desires and you shouldn't have judgments, they're pulling away part of your beingness. Your desires can be in alignment with your soul self very easily, but you got to know what that desire would be. If you don't connect very much, you won't be able to figure out, well, this is a personality self desire, but is it something that is going to bring me joy? Or is it going to bring my family members joy? You've got to understand that connection to get that type of information. We create the negative, we create the positive. Now, it's not that you're going, I want to feel bad today, so I'm going to do X, and then I'm going to have the right, I'm going to be feeling bad. It's not that we do it with conscious effort. It's, in my opinion, it's subconscious that we're doing it most of the time. I mean, sometimes, yeah, you want to have a fight because you want to have a fight. It's kind of fun. But most of the time, we're attracting into our lives upward spiral energy or downward spiral energy. Energy is upward spiral. I would consider it to be of your higher self or your soul self. Downward spiral would be more personality based, but not a good personality base. That's how I define the two. So I guess I want to be spiraling right here, huh? That's pretty much where I want to be, right in the middle. A little bit on the higher side, So if you're around negative energy, let's say, somewhere, you attracted it into your life. And again, I don't believe that you sit down and go, well, I want negative energy in my life. I think it's all way beyond deep inside of us. But what your power is now is to say, wow, I have a pattern of this negative energy that flows downward. I see a pattern. A pattern is a good thing. Always praise a pattern, because it means it's going to be easier to change. A pattern simply means that I have the habit of doing X, thinking X, or creating X in my life. And I'm choosing now to say, that no longer brings me joy. That's a very powerful thing to do, is to say, when I do this, when I'm in this type of environment, when I go see these people, when I go do these activities, I don't feel joyful. So the answer is, why do them? Well, that gets complicated, right? Because sometimes you're kind of obligated. But what you do by working on this and by thinking of positive experiences. I'm going to see my mother-in-law next week, and I am going to have a joyful experience. She and I we will find something in common that brings us joy. And you actually visualize yourself talking to this individual that perhaps in the past, and I'm picking mother-in-law because it kind of seems like a joke. Mother-in-law has trouble with somebody in their life, so we'll just say mother-in-law. If you do this consistently, it truly does shift things. And I can give you examples of that, but my stuff is boring. I'm going to be hearing more about your stuff in a little bit. So you can look at a situation that's coming up in the future and say, my habit is to respond this way when I'm in that situation. And I want to be at peace. I want a peace-filled life. And so I can choose not to go. I can choose to focus on part of that individual that I do get along with, or focus on a part of the meeting that does bring me joy, or part of that activity that brings me joy. So again, you're in the power. You have power to make those choices. I remember once because the energy is so powerful, each person has a huge, huge area of influence, physically a large area. And I wanted to understand why, when all those people were killed in that earthquake, 2004 I think it was, 200,000 people died instantly in a tsunami. That's what it was. Hello, I'm coming back in a moment, I just know it. So my question was to my guides when I was meditating is, when this many people died just like that, why did I not feel it? You know, it's sort of like, ooh, why didn't something happen to us that were so far away? We're all one, right? We're all energy together. So why, when something like that happens, do I not feel it? And the answer was, nothing really changed. The energy continued. The isness, the godness, the soulness of every single person that passed away didn't skip a beat. I was shocked. I was like, well, but they're dead. What is dead? Well, they're dead. They aren't dead. Their energy is as powerful, or even in some situations, perhaps more powerful now than it was before the tsunami. That's kind of hard to chew on a little bit, I think. But it makes sense because, in a way, because what we're teaching here is that we are connected to all that is at all moments, whether or not you're aware of that connection, or whether or not you can manipulate it, bad word, whether you can gain access to your awareness of it. But the fact that we can connect to it at all proves we are connected. We are one with all that is. And all those people that died have just gone on. They're continuing on their adventure. Oh, so I did say, I help. 9/11 happened. And I was like, what can I do to help? I'm in Louisiana at that time. Obviously I'm not going to drive in. I have to have a job, blah, blah, blah. So I was asked to sit and hold the energy for those that were suffering. And by that my thought was that there were people still trapped in there at that point. This is right after it happened. People that were hurting, physically hurting, emotionally, maybe trapped but not hurt physically, but emotionally absolutely frantic. So what I did is I just, in my imagination, just held light. I just kept over and over surrounding anyone that was that was willing to receive the energy. I surrounded them with light. And I did it for many, many days, not all day long, obviously. But you can aid individuals that are in pain and suffering by simply sitting still, visualizing that person, and then sending them uplifting and caring and supportive, calming energy. You can keep going with the list. So my goal as a practitioner of the soul peace is a life of comfort and pain in balance. See, I'm not being unrealistic. There will be pain, but I want to balance it out. Actually, it might be nice if I could teeter it just a little bit more towards the comfort part. But we do know the human condition will allow us to have pain. And what our goal, if we choose to lead a peace-filled life, is to figure out a way to balance that so that we're joyful. I want a life of celebration and struggle. Again, same thing. I know I'm not going to be la-di-da-di-da for the rest of my life. But I do want to be able to encourage or influence the energies to maintain a joyful balance. Maybe I should have written joyful balance, huh? And then a life of wonder and contentment in balance. So what that means is that I realize as a human body, physical person here, my goal isn't to stay in a, my gosh, that is so cool. I do not expect that. I also want to embrace contentment, comfort, boredom, whatever that is. Do you see what I'm saying? You do not have to be in a state of constant upness to be successful and happy and joyful. It's always a blending. It's always a balance. Everything in life is a balance. So I have a prayer that I want to end with, and then we're going to do a little question and answer. Now, one of the premises that I work from is that there's no dogma attached to what I do. Christians, Buddhas, anybody is, agnostic. Everybody's welcome. Because we all, through our guides and our avatars, are very, very powerful beings. So, this is my prayer. Divine Mother, Father, friends, and guides, I ask that you assist us in surrounding our family and friends with a natural tendency to attract into their lives upward spiral thoughts, upward spiral actions and habits. This energy will assist them in attracting upward spiral relationships and life situations. I ask that you assist us with sending love and light to all relationships that we have and will have in the future. Please assist us in creating a more loving relationship with ourself. I ask that you assist us in surrounding all sentient beings with loving and comforting energies, especially those experiencing emotional or physical discomfort. Amen. I think that one sentence out of that prayer is the most important. Please assist us in creating a more flowing relationship with ourselves. If you are not a happy person because of yourself, you cannot bring joy, peace, etc., to those around you. There are many ways to love yourself. The list is endless on how you can love yourself. But if you cannot figure out how to do it, ask for help. And sometimes that's professional help. They're guided. Professional help is there for a reason. And many of us need a little boost, like the balloon. I need a little boost. You go see somebody that can help you figure out this situation, or a pattern in your life that you just cannot figure how to get out of that pattern. Go for professional help. Now that can be in the form of some sort of a friend or a professional person that's been trained. I truly, honestly believe that more of us should take advantage of that rather than feeling the downward spiral energy all day. Again, a little boost of the balloon to keep those energies up is a magical way to have your life be more peace-filled and less struggle. I'm not saying no struggle. It's less struggle. It's manageable struggle. I had the incident with at the airport. It wasn't that I didn't have struggle. It's that I managed it to the best of my ability at that moment. Okay, so now I turn back on. La la. So basically, what I'd like to do is, if you have questions, you have a situation, or if you want some more definition of some of the words, I'm very happy to help you with that. And know this in your heart: if you're asking me, someone else in the room probably isn't brave enough to ask that question. So understand that we are truly all in this together. We are equal beings of light, every single one. And so the more you understand about how you can connect, the better you can influence the rest of yourself as well as your friends and family. So does anybody have a question that you want to bring up, or a topic that isn't sitting with you well?